Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sohum Reactions. Peace, love, and positivity to you. Today's reaction request comes from Mark, who sent us a bit of a mixed bag today, so thank you, Mark. We've got 2 tracks from U2 and then 1 from Simon and Garfunkel. So we'll start off with the song All I Want Is You. This one's going to be a fresh one for me. Then we'll jump into a live performance of Bad. Technically, I've heard this song on in my full album review of Unforgettable Fire. So if you're looking for my take on the studio version of that track, you can look there. And then we'll be switching gears into the world of Simon and Garfunkel, checking out the song My Little Town. Though it feels a little bit random to me to have some Simon and Garfunkel here, I'm actually super appreciative that we have them in this request because it's been a little bit of time since we've visited them on the channel, and I, for one, love their melodies, love their harmonies. They manage to create such simple beauty. I think it's only fitting that they get paired with U2, who are so expert at finding little edges in production that carry over throughout the entirety of a track, rooted in simple melody potentially, but brought to the forefront with that production. So I'm excited to check these out today, and without further ado, let's jump into it. Those are either llamas or alpacas, I never know.
You say you want diamonds on a ring of gold. You say you want
It's like a wedding ring.
your story to remain untold, but all the promises we made, from the cradle to the grave, went on.
Oh, it's like a circus performance. They're on the inside of the tent.
You say you'll give me a highway with no one on it, treasure just to look upon it, all the riches in the night. You say you'll give me eyes in the moon of blindness, a river in a time of drought,
U2 songs are always so enchanting to me.
harbor in the tempest, but all the promises we make, from the cradle to the
Seems like she's into another guy. Oh. And the thing that continually impresses me with U2, I will always say it's their production. And part of what makes their production, I feel like, so polished is when they add a layer, they make sure that layer doesn't come in a sort of jarring way. In fact, usually it feels like the sound emerges from within your brain. Like, obviously I have headphones, but I believe if I were using monitors or, at a venue, it would still feel like the sound emerges from within me. Music is a very experiential thing. Frequencies are very physical, and the way U2 frequencies hit, they hit so different, and I love it forever.
You say you want your love to work out right, to last with me through the night. You say
so gradual, but all of a sudden, the intensity is undeniable.
From the cradle to the grave, when all I want is you.
Got the ring. Oh, there it is. Bono with the just visceral vocals there. That's his soul flying away. Dude, it's like you connect with these characters and then they take them away from you. But his spirit still yearns for her. What? Plot twist? That in the coffin. The ring goes in. It was her? What? It was her who she was the spirit? I have to see this. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to figure out what happened in this song, like in the video, because the song already speaks to me. All I Want Is You. I think that message is pretty clear. The song, it burns bright, but the slow fanning of that flame of this song's energy starts at the beginning, and you have that gradual rise until, like I mentioned, the energy is just undeniable. I will say that it's probably not a literal music video, and there's more of a this is more of an artistic way to depict when he lost his life in a literal sense. She was the one who felt the brunt of the pain of that loss, and it's as if she passed away with him. But then somehow it flips that he's the one like mourning her. So even though it's weird, because like in a weird way she is rejecting him in the in the video, in the story, not by not being with him essentially, but she can feel his burning desire for her from him. And seemingly, like in her eyes, it's the eyes that give it away. Seemingly she is into it. She wants to be with him, but somehow she's kind of withheld herself. And so when she actually feels the weight of his loss, and now that grief is happening, she is dreaming of the flip of that of their perspectives, and the tossing and turning at night is like her realizing that she could have had the person who wanted her more than anything. All he wanted was her, you know? He even got the ring, and that's how I would reconcile what happened lyrically with the story told in the video. But feel free to let me know your interpretations of this track. But to me, this is another banger U2 song. Right away, we establish a beautiful chord progression that permeates the atmosphere, and layer after layer, gradual rise in volume and intensity brings us through to the finish line. It seems to be a very tried and true U2 formula. I'm a big fan, and as always with U2, you want to pay as much attention as you can to the nuance in their production, because that's where all the money is made. The melodies are, generally speaking, extremely simple, and you could say something similar about the actual song structure. It's the production, it's the energy in the vocals, it is the swelling of this song that once it's kind of like a balloon blowing up to the size of the room, now you are sandwiched between that balloon and the wall. There's no escaping the song, nor would you want to, but it definitely keeps you in a chokehold. Let's jump forward to the next track. This is the live version of Bad. Hear the clapping of the audience.
If you twist and turn away, if you tear yourself into a gown, if I could, you know I would. If I could, I would.
I'm a fan of the pattern of the guitar. Great melody. I feel like you too, you'll like a southern rock band named Need to Breathe.
If I could throw this lifeless lifeline to the wind, leave this heart on play, see you break away into the night, through the rain.
so crazy because they can replicate the magic live as well. The gradual building, the inevitable punch that just is going to break everything apart. Wow, the falsetto from Bono, man. I love that you have such a powerful voice in Bono at the helm. Back to the quaint. These little checkpoints in these YouTube tracks that just make you appreciate the growth and the magic that that growth implies, because then when you return to quiet, you know that they can recreate it once again. You know? But somehow you always know they can build it back higher, build it back bigger and grander. Yeah, dude. It's all coming to a head. This is amazing. This is hitting even harder than the original. Like you are right at that climactic place and you are just held there. Screaming out like that, how can you do anything else but to listen, but to be engrossed by the magic? Dude, I love it all. I love you two so much. And I never expected at the beginning of my YouTube journey to, like, you know, even get this far, but I've been enjoying every lick of it. If you told me 15 years ago I'd be doing this right now, I would not believe you. I had a bias against YouTube back then. How dare you encroach on my iTunes library? now in Apple Music. Stellar. I mean, U2 live is just as good, if not better, than U2 in the studio. I feel like the fact that they can recapture and recreate the magic in their studio live means that their lives are just going to be infinitely better. I don't have an exact one-to-one comparison with the studio version of this song because I've only heard these tracks very few times at this point. But to me, it felt very on the nose in terms of melody, in terms of the moments where Bono was getting very intense and the gradual adding of the specific layers. It all felt very familiar to me. And really the biggest deviation that I felt from the studio was the inclusion of the crowd response you could hear in the beginning, and then later towards the end, their reaction, the whistling, the clapping, and then B, the actual intensity from Bono. I felt like he pushed it even further than I remember him doing in the studio version. I expected greatness, but that was truly lights out. And I guess to sort of round out the discussion for U2 today, because now we're going to segue into the world of Simon and Garfunkel. In my previous U2 album reactions, I have given a whole host of different artists who, at different moments in a U2 performance, I'm reminded of. A few that occur to me today. An Imagine Dragons that drank all of their protein shakes and got more intense and more visceral in performance, and actually paid a lot of mind to building atmosphere rather than really punchy pop rocky choruses. I also think of Need to Breathe. I mentioned them before. That southern rock sound, it's a bit different than what we get with U2, but I think if you like Bono's vocals, you'll really like Bear's vocals from Need to Breathe. I'm a big fan, and I've done plenty of reactions to them on the channel if you're interested in starting that journey. Genesis is another. The Cure is another. And I think a new one that I haven't included before on this list is Lord Huron. This is probably the least known artist of all of those I named just now. Lord Huron, they are a very interesting blend of country, of western, of folk. It's such pretty music. I did a full album reaction to their stuff. Worth checking out. Now, they're not going to come at you with the intensity of a U2 song, but some of their atmosphere building feels reminiscent of what we get with U2. So I think, if anything, you're one or two pivots away from a style like Lord Huron when you listen to U2, and maybe worth exploring if you're into that kind of exploration of music thing, which this entire channel is devoted towards. But love both of those songs. I would say Bad definitely takes the cake for me once again. Just the peak of this song, undeniable. And another notch in my U2 belt. But now let's switch gears into the world of Simon and Garfunkel. Let's jump in. I'm reminded of a setup to a Billy Joel song right now.
In my little town, I grew up believing
We took a left turn.
God keeps his eye on us all.
The lushness.
And he used to lean upon me as I
what a
pledged
chord.
allegiance to the wall. Lord, I recall my little town, coming home after school, flying my bike past the gates of the factory.
You know what I would love is if it's out there, a Simon and Garfunkel and Bee Gees collaboration, the harmonies would go nuclear.
Flying my bike past the gates of the factories. My mom doing the laundry, hanging out shirts in the dirty breeze. And after it rains, there's a rainbow.
Beautiful.
And all of the colors are black. It's not that the colors aren't there.
I don't know why the term aromatic is coming to my mind, because that's used to describe smell. But if I could smell a song, this would be the most fragrant landscape green smelling song ever. There's something very beautifully refreshing about it. I think of Morning Dew. Shout out Grateful Dead.
Colors are black. It's not that the colors aren't there. It's just imagination they lack. Everything's the same back in my little town, my little town.
Oh, that kicks up. Simple drumming is all you need, but you hear the deliberate hits.
Nothing but the dead and dying back in my little town. Nothing but the dead and dying back in my little town.
Oh, I gotta run that whole sequence again. I love the harmonies I was hearing there.
Dying back in my little town.
Da-da. I'm pretty sure that interval is a major 2. And major 2 intervals are so... I mean, they don't have to sound super dissonant, but they're not a perfect, like... there's a remainder in this division problem when you do a major 2 interval. It's so uncommonly used, and it creates this little bit of friction, even though I love both individual pitches by themselves. It creates a weirder fraction between those frequencies that, weirdly enough, in this spot against the chord voicings, sounds so lovely. It's like a textural and melodic effect.
Nothing, I was just my father's son.
Love the bass here.
Saving my money, dreaming of glory.
He wants to escape this little
like
town.
A finger on the trigger of a gun. Leaving nothing but the dead and dying back in my little town. Nothing but the dead and dying back in my little town. Nothing but the dead and dying back in my little town. Nothing but the dead and dying back in my little town. Nothing but the dead and dying back in my little town.
It's a song I don't want to end, man. Well, Simon and Garfunkel do the dang thing again. They deliver. They always deliver in terms of melody, in terms of those harmonies. Love the juxtaposition of those set of intervals above and in the background against the darker chords that were kind of populating the mix towards like the latter half of the song. beautiful contrast between those sounds. And it's weird because even though the interval choice between like I think it was either the seventh and eighth scale degree, which would just be the root, or it was the first and second, but either way, there was a whole tone difference. And you can think of it in two ways. You can do the pairwise comparison between those notes, and you can also do the comparison of each individual note from that pair against the chord that underlies it. So technically, you have from the two voices above and the one chord below, you have three pairwise connections that allow you to interpret that chord or those sets of notes differently. And the fact that they all work in harmony together is the impressive part. Something that I routinely will compliment groups for, like namely vocal groups who employ harmony, is their ability to choose voicings that feel like they shouldn't work on paper, and in implementation through the movement of the melody end up surpassing any of the expectations I may have had. And a way in which they do that is defying the simpler harmonies that are out there and finding these more niche ones that, again, feel like they shouldn't work, yet they do. They're so expert at it, and whenever I listen to Simon and Garfunkel, I'm like convinced that they have mastered simplicity to such an extent that their simplicity feels complex. Now, I would say that there is at least an intermediate level of knowledge required in the music theory department to really grasp what Simon and Garfunkel are doing, but it's not completely unattainable, and that's why it sounds so well. That's why it's so awesome for me as like a musician myself to kind of try to unpack what's happening on that front, and then also just hearing the melodies, even if you don't understand analytically what's happening, they sound so beautiful. It is just so soul enriching the moment you hear those harmonies. I also wanted to talk about the meaning of this song. What I could glean from My Little Town is the narrator here is unsatisfied with life in the small town. Doesn't feel like he's able to stretch his creative wings, so to speak. And when you're in a place like that is constantly oppressing part of your identity, part of your personality, well, we as humans, we cannot stomach that cognitive dissonance, and there's some place else that would environmentally better serve us and allow us to flourish, you know? And I have felt that way in and around my life. For a long part of my life, I was thinking like, I cannot stay at home. This is not the environment for me. And leaving my home, I realized, well, it wasn't necessarily the home that was the problem, though now that I'm outside of the home, I have an easier time liaisoning with myself and then confronting who I am. It's not simply just escape to do it, because if you're escaping yourself, no matter where you go, you're going to have to confront who you are. This seems more of the example of, no, truly the environment is oppressive, and staying in that place longer than you should is a disservice to the self. And, you know, you could think about it like in terms of cultures. You can think about it historically, places that were not fitting to progressive minds or more creative types, and they were made outcast or ostracized or even exiled in some cases. And I feel like if that is the community that you belong to and they reject you for just being you, then maybe that wasn't the community that serves you, and there's another community for you out there, or a community that you can create on your own. And, you know, you start with one and then you add to your numbers and you can build a beautiful life once again. Humans, that is our kind of superpower, is the ability to, in the face of all of the tumult and all of the destruction, rebuild again, rebuild stronger. My Little Town to me, it kind of is an example of I can feel and see all the bad things at home, and I have this endless urge to leave, and I'm going to find a way to make it happen. And doing that, it provides you so much freedom, and it also proves to yourself that you have the capability of creating something from nothing, and that's more valuable than pretty much anything in that circumstance. We need more Simon and Garfunkel on the channel. We do have a handful of U2 reaction requests coming up. I believe there's a Rattle and Hum album request on the horizon. And there's another one too, I think like Zootopia or something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but stay tuned for that. I'm going to end this video here. I hope y'all enjoyed the reaction. If you'd like to request one yourself, the link is in the description box below. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and peace.